Hey there, happy Tuesday. I hope your day has been wonderful. As you know, I'm Shannon Milligan from RVA Home Team powered by eXp Realty. And every Tuesday I come on Facebook Live to go over home buyer tips. And today we're finishing up with the 10 steps of the home buying process. And we're going to be looking at step 8, 9, and 10. If you missed the last steps, go back. You can find the past videos. And then on Thursday, I will be here with seller tips. All right, we're just gonna dive right on into it. So last week we went over step 5, 6, 7, which was writing the offer, negotiating terms, and accepting the contract. Today, step 8 is removing contingencies. And I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about what some of those contingencies may be. So in this step, we're gonna help you clear the contingencies that were made part of the contract. And these are items that we need to do to proceed to closing. What are some possible contingencies? Well, first is the home inspection. Okay, there we are. Sorry about that. Phone calls, real estate is sprung, guys. All right, so removing contingencies, the physical home inspection. That's where in part of the contract we said, okay, you're gonna have X amount of time to do your inspections. Usually it's around 10 to 14 days. So as a buyer, you're gonna have, let's say it's 14 days to perform any inspections that you wanna do. That's a physical home inspection, a radon inspection. Maybe you wanna have a roofer come out and take a look, or an HVAC person. Any kind of inspection you wanna do is during that time, that probably 10 to 14 day period. After we submit your request for repairs, we will then have, the seller will then have 7 days to go back and forth of what they will and will not do. Other inspections, so usually part of the contract is the septic and well inspection. So if your property is going to be on a septic system or if it has a well, usually it's the seller that performs those inspections, but that's something that will have to be removed. A first right of refusal is another contingency, and we're seeing a lot of that right now in the Richmond real estate market. That is where you have to sell your house first, but you located the home you want to buy. So let's say you put in an offer and you say, Mr. Seller, I want to buy your house. However, we have to sell ours first. So here's a first right of refusal. That means that the seller's going to hold the property for you, kind of like layaway for a certain amount of time, but they still get to stay active on the real estate market. So you get a chance to go then sell your house. Now, if the seller gets another offer, they come back to you and say, okay, buyer A, you had 48 hours or 24 hours, whatever the first right of refusal said, to either move forward, make a decision to move forward, or step out of line so buyer B can come in. So that's a first right of refusal. An appraisal, that's another contingency, and that's a big one. That's where the bank will say, okay, we're gonna send a third party out, it's at an arm's length, and they are going to go and they're going to tell us what your house is worth. The reason it's at an arm's length, a third party, is so that there's no, I don't want to say commingling, but because there's no interest from the appraiser for that to appraise, right? They have no skin in the game. It either appraises or it doesn't. So the appraiser's going to come out, determine the value of your home. So we got to get through that hurdle. They have to obtain clear title. So the title company is going to work to get clear title. And then you have to obtain your final loan approval. And that can take up to a day or two before closing to get your final loan approval. So those are some contingencies that we're going to help you remove during the home buying process. And that's step 8. And keep in mind, step 8 can take time because you do the inspection up front and the loan contingency can be towards the end. So it's throughout the span of being under contract. Step 9 is obtaining funds for your closing. So you're in the home stretch at this point. We successfully navigating the home buying process, and you simply need to obtain either a cashier's check or have your funds wired to your title company or your closing company. Let me just give you a tip about wiring funds. We as real estate agents will never ask you to wire funds ever. So if someone ever asks you to wire funds, please call directly, and I mean call, don't email. Call your closing attorney or your title company or the closing company that you're closing with and ask them to verify that they have indeed asked you to wire funds. Wire fraud is very much a problem right now, so just keep in mind, call and verify. So after you wire your funds, then you are on the last step, and that is actually closing on your property. There is a mountain of paperwork that you will have to sign, and we will accompany you to the closing. So if you have any questions, and our lenders that we work with, they really try to accompany you to the closing as well, in case you have some questions. What do you have to bring for closing? Usually it's 1 to 2 forms of identification. So it's at least one photo ID. So that can be your driver's license. And then you can bring your passport. I've seen people use a Costco card if they don't have that second form of ID. But usually it's your driver's license and then another form. And it could be a water bill to be your other form, something along those lines. And then you're going to bring your funds to closing, your down payment. And that's what you would have had wired or what have you. So just to recap all 10 steps of the home buying process, starting with number 1, that is selecting your realtor. We've already done that. Second step is speaking with a lender to get your financial approval. Sorry, I'm very distracted today because I keep getting blown up with messages. The third step is selecting properties to view. The fourth step is actually viewing those properties. Step 5 is writing an offer to purchase. Step 6, negotiating the terms. Step 7 is accepting the contract. Step 8 is removing contingencies. Step 9 is obtaining funds for closing. And step 10 is closing on the property. So those are the 10 steps. You can go back, catch the old videos. Like I said before, if you'd like a copy of this free home buyer's guide, simply put your email in the comments or send it to me privately. I would be happy to send it to you. And I just need your email for that. If you have any questions, either put it in the comments so I can address it for everyone, because if you have a question, somebody else might have that same question. But if you're a little shy or too timid, feel free to send me a message. Next Tuesday, we're going to go over some do's and don'ts to a successful real estate transaction. That's some really good tips. You know, like just to give you an example, you don't want to open up a bunch of credit, and we're going to go over why. And then the following week, or we might even do this next week too, depending on time, we'll also go over the types of home sales, because there are, you know, different types. There's new construction and there's resale, and we're going to go over all of that. If you're thinking about selling your house this year, join me on Thursday. We are going to go live and talk about some more seller tips, and I believe we have a special guest on Thursday. We're going to have on a home inspector who's going to talk about pre-listing inspections. So we just mentioned inspections during the buying process, but did you know you can also do an inspection for the selling process? So we're going to go over that and discuss that a little bit. All right, guys. I hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up. Shannon Milligan at RVA Home Team, powered by eXp Realty, 804-248-8207. Have a great day.